and have been a preacher since I was a boy, for him to not only come with selling Bibles during Holy Week. I mean, this is the week that we that believe in Christ, the real Christ.
Donald Trump speaks and is the most divisive, cruel person in the history of the presidency. And obviously, it's an exact opposite of what Jesus' message was in this. Donald Trump does this and then is backed by certain people of the faith. It just exposes the rot that exists in faith communities in America.
Mm-hmm. When fascism comes to America, it will be waving a flag and holding a Bible. Yeah. That is what we are looking at right now. Remember that in November.
It's blasphemous.
Okay, are we really looking at Al Sharpton to tell us what God wants? And the media is acting like it's tacky for Trump to promote the word of God. Biden iced out his illegitimate grandchild, is helping keep his crackhead tax-cheating son out of prison, while his dog bites the White House staff and trans activists flash us on July 4th. Let's not get into a battle over who's tackier. Trump's a salesman. Is the media saying there should be less Bibles in America? It's probably the best thing Trump's ever sold. I'll accept Trump wine, which is divine. Now, the left's livid because they know Trump's strong bond with voters mean they'll buy anything he sells. Trump could sell Biden bumper stickers, and the base would buy it, and just hand them out as gag gifts. We were told Biden was going to try to win over Trump voters, but he's not. He's calling them ultra-MAGA Bible thumpers. Chris Matthews says if you buy a Bible from Trump, you're not Christian, you're in a cult.
I don't know if the Democrats have really thought through this campaign and what they're up against. This guy's calling himself God. God.
Hello?
Yeah, and if he can get away with that, then he is truly a cult.
I mean, anything Trump does, Democrats have to do the opposite. This weekend, Trump wished America a happy Easter. Over at the White House, Biden wished us happy Trans Day of Visibility. On Transgender Day of Visibility, we honor the extraordinary courage and contributions of transgender Americans and reaffirm our nation's commitment to forming a more perfect union, where all people are created equal and treated equally through their lives. Democrats went full trans this Easter weekend.
Today, on Trans Day of Visibility, we celebrate the trans individuals in our communities and recognize their struggles for recognition and increasingly survival.
From all of us here at the Department of Education, happy Trans Day of Visibility.
Each year on March 31st, we celebrate transgender Americans and all that they have accomplished. Happy Transgender Day of Visibility.
This morning, Binder was blindsided by the controversy and tried to explain how the calendar works. Watch.
Really so surprised by the misinformation that's been out there around this, and I want to be very clear. Every year for the past several years, on March 31st, Transgender Day of Visibility is marked. And as we know, for folks who understand the calendar and how it works, Easter falls on different Sundays, right? Every year. And this year it happened to coincide with Transgender Visibility Day. And so that is the simple fact. That is what has happened. That is where we are.
I would love to hear Binder explain leap year. But here's how this whole thing gets started. 15 years ago, trans psychotherapist Rachel Crandall Crocker started Trans Visibility Day. Here she is.
I'm Rachel Crandall Crocker. I am founder and organizer of the International Transgender Day of Visibility.
Anyone can create their own day. Tomorrow is National Peanut Butter and Jelly Sandwich Day. We're serious. It's also National Ferret Day. It's also National Do-It-Yourself Day, which Gutfeld celebrates far too often. Barack Obama was president for the first 8 transgender days of visibility. One of those days was Easter Sunday, and Obama didn't put out any proclamations about it. Those only started under Biden. And the geniuses at the Biden White House are either too stupid to realize what they're doing, or they're doing it on purpose. Biden was asked about, why'd you do it? And he said, quote, I didn't do it. So he's either a puppet or he's lying. Now, Primetime doesn't care if trans Americans want to have a day to themselves. Have a day, have a month. That's what Pride Month's for, right? June? But we discovered trans days take up half the year. They have Transgender Day of Visibility, Transgender Day of Remembrance, Transgender Awareness Week, Trans Awareness Month, Transparent Day, International Day Against Homophobia, Biphobia, and Transphobia, Pride Month, LGBTQ History Month, LGBTQ Health Awareness Week, International Day of Pink, Day of Silence for trans bullying, Lesbian Visibility Week, Agender Pride Day, Harvey Milk Day, Pansexual and Panromantic Awareness Day, Stonewall Day, International LGBTQ Plus Day, International Non-Binary People Day, International Drag Day, Bisexual Awareness Week, Celebrate Bisexuality Day, International Lesbian Day, National Coming Out Day, Gender Fluid Visibility Week, International Pronoun Day, Spirit Day, Intersex Awareness Day, Intersex Day of Remembrance. I could go on. They dominate the calendar. We can't have one day for Easter? And if we raise the issue, we're pouncing? Trans Easter's now a thing? But Trump asking for prayer is tacky? I don't know about you, but I don't think the trans community is suffering from a lack of visibility. It's all we see. They were selling trans nutcrackers in Target this Christmas, which I enjoyed gifting to my producers during the Office Secret Santa. The country talks more about trans than the border. Now, it's a combination of a cry for attention and a cry for help. We're handing over bathrooms, the English language, and now half the calendar. Again. On Easter Sunday in Tennessee, a trailer full of Bibles was set on fire in front of a church. Now, we're not accusing anyone trans of doing this, but if these were Qurans in flames, there'd be another White House proclamation, or a trans flag torched, hate crime, front page news. Easter service at St. Patrick's Cathedral here in Manhattan was disrupted by pro-Palestinian activists. If we've learned anything from history, is that communism rooted religion out, so people would worship the state instead of God. So be proud of your faith, and don't let anybody demonize you. Never be ashamed by what you believe in your heart. And happy Easter. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You won't get it anywhere else.
Joining me is Louis Pugh. He spent 25 years as a trucker and joins me now. Louis, would these new rules put you out of business?
Yeah, they will put our members. I work for OIDA. We represent 150,000 small business truckers out there. And yeah, this is just once again, this office in the White House is completely not listening to the trucker, the end user, or the buyer. They just want to do what the extreme environmentalists want. And what it's going to do is put lots and lots of truckers out of business. And no one even wants to talk about all the challenges and operational challenges that come with these trucks.
They want, by 2032, they want 60% of urban delivery trucks to be electric and 25% of long-haul trucks to be electric. That's by 2032. You're laughing. You don't think you can meet those standards?
Where are we going to charge them? That's my first question.
Oh.
I mean, there was a company in Joliet, Illinois that was going to put a terminal in for 30 trucks. The city said you can't do it. You're going to use more electricity than the entire city of Joliet, Illinois.
Let me just jump in for a second. I've read some numbers in the Wall Street Journal this morning. To achieve these goals, they need 1.4 million new charging stations, which will have to be installed at a rate of 15,000 a month for the next 8 years. I think you can laugh at this one, because that ain't going to happen, is it?
No, our highway trust fund that would pay for stuff like this is already on the brink of going bankrupt. Where's the money going to come from? We can't take care of our infrastructure that we have now, and we're going to put all this stuff in and then hope it works. And then, of course, like I said, 70% of freight out here is all moved by trucks. Yeah. So when all these trucks are charging, we're going to have to bring more trucks out.
Is there a rising tide among truckers that says this is impossible, you completely oppose it? What are they telling you?
Yeah, I mean, my membership, like I said, represents 150,000 members, 225,000 pieces of equipment across this country, and they're all concerned, and they're all saying there's no way this is going to work, we can't do it. They're concerned about their lives and their livelihood. What happens in the wintertime? You get stuck in a snow blizzard along the highway for 2 or 3 days and your battery goes dead. These people could freeze to death and die.
But you know, Louis, you are saving the planet. I know I'm being sarcastic and facetious, but you know, you've got to remember that. Louis Pugh, thanks for joining us this morning. I hope you can join us again later, and we'll figure out some more of just how this thing is going to be dealt with. Louis, thanks for joining us. We'll see you later.
Thank
The White House is rolling out the strictest climate standards ever on heavy-duty vehicles, buses and trucks. Grady Trimble at the White House. All right, Grady, truckers are pushing back, I understand. What are they saying?
They are, Stu. They're not happy with it at all, saying it's going to be really, really expensive and probably unrealistic to transition to electric trucks. You know, this rule is pretty similar to the EPA's rule on tailpipe emissions for passenger vehicles. It just applies to big semi-trucks. Might come as no surprise to you that the environmental groups like it. The Sierra Club says it's crucial that truck manufacturers get into the fast lane with zero-emission trucks to deliver the climate, health, and economic benefits we deserve. As we mentioned, it'll apply to semi-trucks, but also city buses, box trucks, and garbage trucks, starting with model year 2027 and getting progressively more strict through 2032. Practically what it means is a lot more electric trucks and buses on the roads by then. The groups representing the trucking industry and the bus industry say the new rules are unaffordable, and they say that means higher prices for you and me.
The milk, eggs, bread, fuel we put in our cars, the medications, everything that we rely on every day, when the cost of transportation goes up, so do the cost of all those other things that we pay for. And that's when reality sets in.
The trucking industry points to these numbers from the Clean Freight Coalition. They say going all electric will cost about $1 trillion, and that's just for charging infrastructure and grid updates. Stu, doesn't even include the cost of the electric trucks themselves, which can be 2-3 times more expensive than diesel semi-trucks. The environmentalists, Stu, argue that those numbers and the methodology in getting those numbers are flawed.
Apple Vacations makes it easy to make memories. This will be a memory that never...
Crooked Joe Biden has been illegally paid off. He's been paid off. This is a corrupt president. And you know what? I would have never said that. I have too much respect for the office of the presidency, and I never said that. I can't say great things about him because he's been a horrible president, but I would never say, but you know what? Now we have to take the gloves off because they took the gloves off, so we take the gloves off. And Europe should be paying their fair share. They're not. They're paying a tiny fraction. We're in for $200 billion. They're in for $22 billion. And it affects them much more than it affects us. Also last week, two highly credible whistleblowers from the IRS, including a self-described Democrat, testified that the corrupt Department of Injustice obstructed the criminal investigation into the Biden's gigantic violations of taxes. The witnesses also stated that they were totally prohibited from investigating the crimes of Crooked Joe Biden. They couldn't do it. You know, I took the name away from Hillary. You know that, right? Because that's over. Hopefully she's gone. Otherwise, we'll have to bring it back. When he goes, we'll bring it back. No, I took it away. I took it away because it was the most descriptive, and I don't like doing two. You know, we have enough words in this world. But I took it off Hillary, so now we call her, right? Beautiful, beautiful Hillary. Oh, beautiful, so beautiful. She's so beautiful. And he's Crooked Joe. We called him Sleepy Joe. We had a number of names. I like Crooked Joe the best because it's probably the most accurate. The Republicans have to do something about this. The biggest complaint I get, and we have some unbelievable congressmen that I'm going to introduce, and they are not the problem. But I have to tell you, congressmen, and you complain about it too, but the biggest complaint that I get is that the Republicans find out this information and then they do nothing about it. They don't do anything about it, right? Kelly knows, he knows. They do. And it all dies, you know, they die. The radical lunatic Democrats, they impeach me, they indict me, they rig our elections. And the Republicans just don't fight the way they're good people, but they don't fight the way they're supposed to fight. The others are dirty, sick players, and the Republicans are very high class. They've got to be a little bit lower class, I suspect. They sit back and they say, they have other priorities. We have to look at other things. Any Republican that doesn't act on Democrat fraud should be immediately primaried and get out. And we have some. You know, you show them the fact, 10 million here, 10 million there, this came in, that came in, that came in. Oh, that's too bad. But we have to worry about other things. You don't have to worry about other things. You got to stop it. You got to stop it. They play a different game. These people are corrupt as hell, and they play a different game. They play a much tougher game of hardball. And the Republicans have to play like these two guys and these three people, actually, four people that we have. They have to play tough. And they have to be, and honestly, and if they're not willing to do it, we got a lot of good, tough Republicans around, and people are going to run against them, and people are going to win, and they're going to get my endorsement every single time, and they're going to win because we win almost every race when we endorse. When we win the election, a little more than a year from now, I will appoint a real special prosecutor to expose the monumental corruption of the Biden crime family once and for all. Unlike the witch hunt that I've been going through ever since we came down that beautiful escalator in Trump Tower, they will be properly prosecuted. I promise you that. They will be looked at. Everything will be very fair, of course. But if they're guilty, I happen to think they must be, boy, it's a lot of money taken in for people. Took in millions and millions, and then they say they're not. No, they have to be. We have to bring our nation back. We have to bring our borders back. We have to bring our fair elections back. We have to do it right. And they've broken the veil by indicting me with this ridiculous. These are ridiculous indictments. And all they're doing is hoping for massive election interference. That's all they want to do. They want to damage the leading candidate, by the way, leading by far, I have to say. DeSantis is gone. DeSantis is gone. He's just about over. I think if he ever made a comeback, it would be the greatest comeback in political history.
3, 2, 1.
He's gone. I endorsed him. He was gone before I endorsed him. I endorsed him. You know that, right? I endorsed him. I said, all right. Do it. I said, you couldn't get, you're so far behind, you couldn't win. If George Washington and Abraham Lincoln came back from the dead, you couldn't win.
2,
No.
1.
Sir, if you endorse me, I'll win. I'll win. So, you know, he worked on the impeachment hoax number 1 and impeachment hoax number 2, two of the many hoaxes that I had to go through. But he was just one of many, many guys. These guys worked much harder. Kelly, Muser, they worked much, much harder. Much harder. You guys worked much harder. But he did a little bit that I didn't know the man he was running against. His name's Adam Putnam, good man. Although I heard he was a rhino, so I feel a little bit better, but actually. But I didn't know him, so I said, let's give it a shot, Ron. And he's down so much, like 30, 40 points. In one night, he is leading by a lot. And we had him get past a guy named Pullum, who was at the time the hottest guy in the Democrat Party. Stacey Abrams being the female version. Stacey Abrams and Pullum. These were the two hottest politicians in the Democrat Party, and Ron said, I don't think I'll be able to beat him. I said, Ron, we'll do a couple of rallies. We did 3 rallies. They were massive. I said, Ron, you're going to win. I don't think so. He ends up winning. Then 3 years later, they say, will you run against the president? Will you run against the president? He says, I have no comment. I said, that means he's running. This son of a bitch is running against me. I got him elected. He's running. So I tell that story, even though all of my wonderful geniuses that we do have a good campaign going, I have to say, but my wonderful geniuses, my consultants and people that you have, they say, sir, people don't care about loyalty in this business. I say, I think they do. See, I think they do. I think a story like that means something to people, but they say I'm wrong. But so far the polls have proven, because he has taken a dive like few people have seen before. You know, it's funny, all of his big donors, he had a lot of big donors, and they were all maybe sort of, they don't love me because I'm very much anti-business with China. You know what? I'm a person that puts America first. These people want to put the globe first, right? So they don't love me. But I read stories where, you know, these big rich guys are all guys that I know very well. And they're sort of leaning toward him, and they're going with him, and you know, this is like 6 months in. They're gonna go with him. I think they're gonna go with him because he's a globalist, basically, right? He's a Paul Ryan disciple. Anybody a Paul Ryan disciple, you don't want him, believe me. Guy's a loser. But look, he had to leave because he couldn't have won. He was out. But remember this: when they say, they're all with him. They're all set. They're going with him. We're going with the sanctimonious. And then last week I started getting phone calls 2, 3, 4 weeks ago. Hi, President. I just called to say hello. What are the big donors? Oh, I thought you were with DeSantis. No, aren't you with DeSantis? Sometimes referred to as the sanctimonious. Never referred to as DeSantis. Never. Of course, he did change his name in the middle of the campaign. You know that, right? But we having fun. What the hell? It's a Saturday afternoon. We have nothing to do. We got these great congressmen that we got to make sure they're in good shape, and they will be. They actually don't need any of my help. They're here because they love me and I love them. They don't need my help, these guys. But you know, so they call up these rich guys. They call. I'm richer than they are. But they call up. And they say, and I'll put as much money into the campaign as I need. Believe me, if we need to do it, we need to do it. But you know, the money that comes in is the small money that comes in for us. No Republicans ever had that. Millions of dollars of small money. We're $31. I think it's a $31 to $61 average. And that means people love us. And by the way, those people vote. The rich guys are in the south of France on their yacht. They don't vote. They just give money for obvious reasons. But now I'm getting calls from guys that I read about from 6 months ago. I didn't care. It didn't matter to me. If they were going with him. We're going with him. We do change. They want to change. No, we want to go back to what we had for 4 years. We had something that was so special. One of these guys, Coke. You ever hear of Coke? So Coke, he says, a couple of months ago, said, I had the best 4 years I've ever had during the Trump administration. I believe I'll be supporting DeSantis. I said, what the hell is that all about? The guy admits, maybe that's called inheritance. The guy admits he's had the best 4 years he's ever had. He's going to support. But so now they're all calling me, and they go like this. Ring, ring, so-and-so's on the phone. President, I was just calling to say hello. I said, you mean you're just calling to say that you've been looking at the recent poll numbers? That's true. They're not stupid. They see what's happening. So he's lost all of it. I think he's lost every high roller. And they say, what's his problem? I said, he's got no personality. I could have told you that a long time ago. A politician needs a little personality, but I think he's over. And you know, we just got some polls. We're going to go over the polls in a couple of seconds. Remember when I used to do the polls? Remember? But I only did them when we were doing well. When we were doing poorly, I never talked about polls. They said, what polls? But for the most part, we were always doing pretty well. But I only did, but we have one where Ramaswamy is now leading him, you know, Ramaswamy. You know why he's leading him? Because he says Trump's been a great president. I like guys that I'm running against that say I've been a great president. Vote Ramaswamy. So it's been an incredible time, but all of these high rollers are now calling me, sir, I'd love to have dinner with you. I said, you didn't want to have dinner 6-7 months ago so much, right? But you know you're doing well when all of those guys are calling, and they're not giving him very much. I don't think they're giving him anything. They're giving him a lot of nice talk. Hey, Ron, keep working. You're doing wonderfully. No, last night he had a very bad reception, very, very bad, in a state called Iowa. Very important. First in the nation. We kept it there. I kept it there. You know, I got the farmers, Pennsylvania, Iowa, all over. $28 billion from China. I got the farmers $28 billion. And I made a very bold statement. I said, let me tell you, first of all, I think we're leading in Iowa by 39 points. That's a lot. But I said, before I saw any polls, I said, there's no way I lose Iowa, Nebraska, Pennsylvania's big farm stuff. There's no way I lose any of these states because I got them $28 billion from China. And many of you, if you're a farmer, you can raise your hand because I know you opened up big checks